Texas running back Bijan Robinson shouldn't even test at the NFL scouting combine next week, and we're going to tell you why.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you already know, if you've been with us for the past week, I am Damian Parson, National Scout over at the Draft Network, and you're not just your local, but your favorite running back guru. You can find me on Twitter at DP_NFL. And as always, my man is back. We got the champ. We got the champ back in the building, man. LSU, them Tigers, stand up. Talk to him, baby.
Man, what's up, man? Keith Sanchez with the Draft Network, man. And like DP always said, man, 2019 national champion. And so I'm only here to bring you championship level conversations, man. Get into the details, the nuances of these NFL prospects, and just have some really fun conversations, man. So DP, why don't you kick them off with our sponsor so we could get into this rather interesting running back conversation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Today's episode has been brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the NFL. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. And Keith, you teed it up well. We have an interesting, really riveting conversation about the running back position, right? Keith, going into the combine, we've already talked about the quarterbacks in the previous episode, and go check that out if you haven't already, right? But Keith, we've talked about the quarterbacks, and typically we've seen in the past at the combine that certain players, right, blue chip players, they may do one or two things at the combine. They'll go and do their interviews, they'll do their medical tests and stuff like that, and they might do field drills, or they may run and jump, but don't do field drills, what have you. They'll pick and choose what they need to do. Well, we only have technically three blue chip players, right? Will Anderson, two of them are defensive players. Will Anderson Jr., Jalen Carter, and then, of course, running back RB1, the elite prospect himself, Bijan Robinson. Keith, I look at this and I pose this question to you. I personally don't believe Bijan really gains anything from testing at the NFL Combine. Keith, I'm gonna be honest with you, if I was his agent, I would say don't do it.
Yeah, so DP, when you presented this question to me in our pre-show meeting, I'm like, man, what are you talking about, man? Like, go out there and test, right? But the more I think about it, Bijan, sit out, baby, sit out. Let me tell you why. There's multiple reasons. One, I feel as though he can only hurt his draft stock, right? I want Bijan Robinson to act like one of those quarterbacks, right? See, you know what? I'll perform at my pro day, right? When I have my strength and conditioning coach controlling the 40 time, right? I can run my own drills that I practice for 3-4 months now. Like, be like the quarterbacks do, right? Like these quarterbacks that are scared of their, inaccuracies, or, worried about hurting their draft stock if they're going top 10. They don't really do anything at the combine, right? So I think Bijan Robinson, my statement to you is act like a quarterback in this moment, right? Like, you're one of three blue chip prospects, according to me and DP, right? So go ahead and act like it, man. I'm not saying don't do anything, right? If you want to do the on the field drills, that's perfectly fine. But I think, especially when it comes down to testing and everything, I think he can only hurt himself, right? We're talking about one of three blue chip prospects in his entire draft, DP. And we're still having a conversation of should he go in the first round. So that lets you know how fragile the running back position is, or how volatile it is, as far as you being a top 10 pick, right? Or you going in the second round. I mock Bijan Robinson to the Philadelphia Eagles all the time, right? I really like the fit. I think it's a really good fit, right? I think it's unstoppable if you add him in with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. But for some reason, fans still get a little angry about it, right? And it's only because it's a running back. If it was a talented wide receiver, they wouldn't care. If it was a talented cornerback, they wouldn't care. But the narrative around running backs has been devalued so much, man, that if I'm Bijan Robinson, I just don't do anything to hurt my draft stock. I don't think it's worth it.
No, Keith, listen, and when we talked about this, you said it because you posed the question to me when we discussed Anthony Richardson on the last pod. And it was like, what if Bijan went out there and ran a 4.55, right? What if he ran that time? Like, people are going to lose it, and not in a good way, right? Like, they're not going to be happy about that time. Like, they're going to look at like 4.55. Like, yes, I know he's a running back, and you don't have to have 4.3 speed, because it's very rare that you have a 4.2, 4.3 running back that actually excels at the NFL level, because they only rely on their speed, right? But Bijan's the total package, right? Pass protection, catch out the backfield. He's strong, he's sturdy, good build, right? He does everything well, Keith. He makes explosive plays. He's creative as a runner, patience, vision, everything. I'm telling you, as a running back guy, every box that I have for running backs when I'm watching tape, he checks every single one of them.
Checks every last box.
Every one of them. But I guarantee you, if he went to the combine and somehow ran a 4.5 close to a 4.6, people will be like, yep, no chance I'm drafting him first round. The film would automatically be docile. It'll be obsolete. We'll forget that he's this elite blue chip talent, all because of athletic testing, Keith.
Yeah, man. And to be completely honest, let's be honest about it. It's ridiculous, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's ridiculous. And I know we're going to have even more running back conversations, right? Just about, why they devalue. But I think if he runs in the 4.5, what I don't think he will do. This is a 4.4 guy on film all day long. But like, to bring up the topic, right? Then you start getting you know what? He's not that much different from Kenneth Walker. Well, guess what? Kenneth Walker was a damn good football player, right? So I have my own issues with the running back and how it's being perceived and everything like that. But listen, what we're gonna do, man. You know that me, DP, we watched the film, man. So coming up next, we're going to get into the running backs that outside of Bijan Robinson that we would really like to see perform well at the NFL Combine.
What is the best sports book in America? FanDuel. And if you are a new customer, that is great news for you, because new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. All you have to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. And you can bet on everything from money line, the point spreads, the point scores, 3 points drained, NFL catches made, what have you. You can do it. You can even have exclusive bets. Even think about the NBA. You can have a bet where it's 2 3-pointers scored in the first 3 minutes of a game. You can have all of these type of bets with FanDuel Sportsbook app. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets to get a bigger chance at a bigger, larger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 back in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Keith, talking about Bijan, right? Like, he is what's the phrase? I think it's French. It's creme de la creme, right? And he's the cream at the top. And typically, truthfully, he's probably in a tier all by himself.
Right.
But there's some other backs in this class, Keith, and one that's in Alabama that I'm excited to see, that he used to be a yellow jacket. Now he was in that what is it?
Crimson and white.
That Roll Tide crimson color. Talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. When you say, man, backs that we're excited to see. Keith, if anybody's going to test, I need Jahmyr Gibbs to test. I need people to understand how twitchy and explosive and the change of direction. Listen, granted, Keith, we've watched the tape on him. You can go to, search his name on YouTube. You'll see our film session somewhere pop up on, in that list that we did back with our guy Ray Garvin a couple months ago for the Draft Network. And we know how twitchy, the footwork, the quick decision-making, everything, Keith. But I really want to see him bust a 4.4, even a little bit lower, Keith. I want to see him getting that 4.3, 8.4. Because you talk about setting the blaze, like blazing the trail to the pro day. And, just like talking to the kids, some of the players at the Senior Bowl, Keith, this is the moment to really set the buzz for yourself heading into pro day season.
So, all right, I got a bit of, I don't even want to call it a hot take, man, but we just talked about if we were the agents for Bijan Robinson, we would not tell him, not to run the 40 or anything, right, like that, right? You know what I'm doing if I'm the agent for Jahmyr Gibbs? I'm saying, hey, big fella, we're going to hop in those wide receiver drills too and show them that you are a true wide receiver, man, because I've said this before and I'm going to say this again on this podcast. I think Jahmyr Gibbs' value as a wide receiver only, I think is a 4th, 5th round grade. I think this guy can be a number 3 or number 4 receiver in the NFL. So if he goes out there and proves that, right, that's the That's the extra bit that you need as a running back, right? Like we're talking about Bijan, the number one guy, possibly not going in the first round. So if you're Jahmyr Gibbs, you have to do even more. So if I'm Jahmyr Gibbs, if I'm someone in his team, man, I'm telling you, you know what? Let's go line up in those wide receiver drills because we put it on film already. And if you don't want to watch the film, I want you to watch this in person at the combine, that I am a true offensive weapon. Don't just call me a running back, because I think that's what Jahmyr Gibbs needs to do. So that's my bit of my hot take, man. But if I want to transition, DP, into somebody else that I would like to see, you stole one of my guys, man. So I'm going to have to steal one of your guys, DP, and that is Tank Bigsby. Everybody's going crazy over Tank Dell right now, the wide receiver. But, man, cut on the film, man. Watch the film. Tank Bigsby, running back from Auburn University, man. This is the real deal, man. This is a guy that's close to 6 foot, 210, 215 pounds, runs behind his pads. I think in the right system, and you're talking about a sweet spot, the third round, I think you're really getting a starting running back out of Tank Bigsby. So that's definitely a guy when it comes down to, day 2-ish, early day 3, I'm definitely circling his name as a guy to, possibly want to draft.
I love that. I'm a big Tank Bigsby guy, Keith, and like you said, you're going to get a starting back who is scheme versatile too, because they run zone and gap and power over at Auburn, and even under center runs, right, hitting the A gap, right, like that, the A gap blast and dive and different things like that, and the patience and the vision. Once he reaches the second level, the teeth of the defense at the second level, to be able to jump cut outside, ask the Ole Miss linebackers and safeties how he made them look foolish on tape. It's just a young man that at the same time, Keith, I'm going to tell you what the drill that there's two drills that stand out for me for Tank. The 40, because I want to see where he is, right? 4.4, 4.5. Yeah, we'll see how fast he is, and the running back receiver drills. You know what I mean? Catching the flare out of the backfield, the wheel route, stuff like that. Catching the ball out of the backfield, showcasing to these scouts and GMs and these decision makers that I can catch the ball out of the backfield, Keith. So I love that a lot. I want to, stick with. Bring up another name or two real quick. Devin Achane, right? Out of Texas A&M.
That's intriguing, man.
I need him to run. I know he's gonna run fast. We know this is a track guy, Keith.
So the question is around him, DP. Do you think the bar is set too high to where he can only disappoint people? That's the only thing that worries you, right? Because the hype is going to come with somebody's going to say he's a track guy. Watch, he's going to run a 4.1 or something crazy, right? And I just wonder. I don't know what's your opinion on this, man. But do you think that the hype is going to be too much to where it's still going to be a good performance, but if it doesn't overwhelm people, then it may I hate to say fall flat, but it won't live up to the hype.
I think he can't run 4.48, Keith. You know what I mean? Like that, you can't do that. I mean, and that's still a good time. But as you talk about with the hype of his speed, if he hit 4.48 instead of 4.38, people are gonna have.
So that's okay. So let's talk threshold real quick on Devon Achane, right? 4.48 is out the window. He can't do that, right?
No.
What about 4.4 flat?
I'm good with that. I'm good with it.
See, because some people, they may look at that and be like, I need a 4.32. You're a former track guy. You're 175 pounds. I need a blazer. So I think that's where, okay, what gets you excited again about Devon Achane? Not what are you good with? What gets you excited about Devon Achane?
No, 100%. Now I'll throw this out there too, Keith. The reason why you think about Tajai Spears, right? Him running and we've watched him in person. I've seen a little bit of him on tape as well. He can catch the ball at the backfield, and he's dynamic as all get out as well, right? And that's the guy, in my opinion, that Achane is kind of battling for that running back, whatever spot, because teams are looking for that change of pace, explosive back. Well, if Tajai Spears come out there and run a 4.3 whatever, and he catches the ball out of the backfield well and does all the things that he does well at the combine, granted it's in shirts and shorts, again, it's about creating buzz for yourself, and that's what people do. So Achane has to go out there and almost that's his competition. I don't think it's Chase Brown or Israel Abandakanda, who's also a burner. Both, and Chase Brown, he's a burner too. But I don't think those guys are competition to Achane. I think that is Tajai Spears, and I think Achane needs to come out and have a good day and a good week. Test well, medicals, interview well, showcase the full skill set. But I would like to know, are you excited to see one of the dudes in your region, Roshan Johnson?
Yeah, I still want to see him showcase, right? We seen him at the Senior Bowl, and I thought it was fairly decent. And I think the
And
thing around
he had like a broken hand or something after having a good day one.
yeah. So that's tough, man. And there's a what's the word, man? Mystique, right? There's mystique around Roshan Johnson of what he could potentially be. So I mean, just the more reps that we can see, and I know this is not, in pads, it's not actual football, but just seeing him move and seeing how explosive he is, I want to see him run, man, because you've been sitting behind Bijan Robinson. If there was one question on film, I questioned just how fast he was, right? Just in a straight line speed, being able to pull away. And if you're talking about a guy that's going to get drafted on day 2, right, especially at the running back position, man, you better be able to pick him up and put him down, like they say. So he better be able to do that, man. But DP, I want to knock out one other guy right now, and that's Zach Sharpe. We talked about the small backs. We're talking about now a guy with some power, right? That's gonna, like Marshawn Lynch said, right? He's gonna run through your face again and again and again, man. And you wouldn't think of that running back from UCLA with Chip Kelly, but that's his style, man. That's his style. He's a downhill guy. So you think about those teams that run a lot of power. So listeners, if you have a team that runs power, man, this is your guy that you should have highlighted. And hoping that your team is able to scoop up in the 3rd, 4th round.
No, I mean, Keith, you look at, Brian Robinson Jr., right? Got drafted middle round, I believe, 3rd round, I believe it was, to the Washington Commanders. And Tyler Algier, I think, was a 5th, 6th round pick to the Atlanta Falcons, right? 2 downhill, physical, just powerhouse runners. And that's what Zach Sharpe is, man. And he can catch the ball at the backfield. I think the 40 time is going to be big for him, right? He can't come out there and bust a 4.65 or nothing crazy, like nothing that low, because it's going to really like sour some people on him. Some people believe he has a good speed. I think his speed is adequate and sufficient. I don't think he's a burner. I think he can get you 20, maybe 30 yards, and he can create some explosive plays in the game, Keith. But I don't think he's somebody that you look at like, yeah, that's going to be my home run hitter. He's more of a volume runner that's going to wear you down and beat you down, you know what I'm saying, in 4 quarters. And think about going to like a AFC North team. It's cold, right?
Yeah,
Pittsburgh,
I like
how you got with Najee in Pittsburgh and Baltimore, even Cincy, because Cincy's a cold city too, right? Like going to one of these cold cities and it's like, man, it's snowing out. I got to deal with this dude for 4 quarters.
You know who else we should throw out there as a team that's a cold city team, but they play like a team on turf, man, and that's the Buffalo Bills, man. Our guy, Joe
Talk about it,
man. This is a guy that they should have circled because they definitely need a running back. But DP, we went through day 2 running backs, man. But we do the work. But why not give it to our listeners, right? So coming up next, man, we have the guys that's deep in the weeds, right? We're talking about Isaiah Pacheco, 7th round, could really change the team around. So coming up next, we're talking late day 3 running backs that you can find in the draft to help fix your team.
Day 3 guys, Keith, and some people may listen to this like, man, why are they talking about day 3 guys? Well, Keith, like you talked about at the beginning of the show, the running back position's been devalued, right? You got a lot of minds that be like, you know what? I can get adequate. Like we're just talking about Tyler Algier, right? For out of BYU, went to the Falcons, 6th round pick, day 3. He had over 1,000 yards rushing as a rookie with Marcus Mariota playing that quarterback. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not like he had a competent passing attack that really made things easy on him, right? So you think about that. And the name that comes to mind is Tavion Thomas, big 240-pound bull, just, bull in the China shop, right? Running downhill out of Utah, man. And he had a better season, if I remember correctly, in 2021 than 2022, but I believe he's like 6'1", 6'2", 240, physical downhill runner, but he's nimble enough with his footwork. Gap scheme fit to me through and through, but he can run some zone stuff. But he's got the nimble enough footwork to exchange gaps and negotiate quick pressure. Keith, and I think he's someone that guys that heading into the combine, right? Yes, we watched the top guys. We watched the Bijan, the Jahmyr, and all that. But keep your eyes on the guy like Tavion Thomas, man, because I think he's one of those guys with his skill set. If he tests pretty solid for his size and he shows off well, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know. I know Deuce Staley's in Carolina now. I hope they keep the drill, the Deuce Staley drill, the bag drill for the running backs, because that's when you really see who's got the footwork, Keith. You know what I'm saying? You talk about dancing with the stars, baby. We get to see what running back can actually transition to go out there and salsa and samba a little bit after their career is over.
And slow feet don't eat, man. That's
Nah.
the slogan, man. Slow feet don't eat, man. And speaking of that, I want to shift it back to another quick guy, right? A change of pace guy. But I really like his style because even though he's a little bit smaller and shifty, this guy runs in between the tackles, and that's running back from Oklahoma, Eric Gray, man. So just a little quick background on him. 2021 season, he didn't get very many carries, right? Less than 1,000 yards. But with Brent Venables changed up some things schematically, this guy broke 1,000 yards this year, right? And you're talking about a guy that's well built. We got eyes on him at the Senior Bowl. Has thick lower half. Can really tote the rock and is explosive. So, man, you think, like I said, man, a change of pace guy, right? That number two. And you even look at a team like the Dallas Cowboys when, they brought in Tony Pollard, even though they had Ezekiel Elliott. And look how that transition is working now because Tony Pollard is now taking over while Ezekiel Elliott, he's slowing down, right? He's just a little bit beat up. So if you're even one of those teams where you're like, man, I have me a guy, but I still need that little just complimentary piece that can grow and still develop. I think Eric Gray is that running back, man. I really like his skill set and what he offers. Like we talked about the feet, man. He has really good feet work and he's explosive. So definitely an exciting football player.
I like real quick. I wanted to say
say?
I liked what I saw from him in Mobile at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Like catching the football, the elusiveness, all the things you talked about. He's somebody I don't know where he's gonna land. He could be a fringe late day 2 pick, but we know how they handle running backs. But day 3, man, you get an Eric Gray. I think you done a good job drafting if you get Eric Gray to pile on whatever you did early in the rounds.
Yeah, and this is why we do this, right? Is because a lot of the times, media they associate team success with player talent, right? In the sense of the fact of if the team is doing well, then everybody knows about that player, and they automatically assume that the individual player is good, right? If TCU is good, every player on TCU is good, right? Oklahoma is bad, every player on Oklahoma is bad. But now I'm telling you, man, this running back from Oklahoma, Eric Gray, man, really talented football player. If y'all haven't, man, check him out. But extremely talented and another day 3 guy. Like DP said, if he falls that late, man, would be really exciting in the NFL.
Keith, I want to throw another name out there. You talk about a burner guy that we talked about track speed. Sean Tucker out of Syracuse, man. He had 1,500 yards in 2021, Keith.
Yeah, and talk about him, DP, because he's a guy that was a first rounder at the beginning of the season. Then now he's relatively unspoken. So I feel like this year identified a problem, right? But DP, I want to toss it to you in this sense of the fact of talk to our listeners about what he is, right? Like what is the value with Sean Tucker and where should he be placed?
I think he's a change of pace back for the offense, man. And I'm gonna tell you, they have a guy that backs up their guy. But one team that I think about going back to the AFC North, Pittsburgh. You have your physical downhill runner in Najee Harris, right? Who kind of churns out those hard yards and kind of wears teams down, and he can still do something. He's much better as a receiver, crazy enough. I mean, he's much bigger than Sean Tucker, but he's the better receiver out of the two. But then you think about transitioning from power to speed to power transition, and that's what Sean Tucker's going to give you. He does have a good filled out, rocked up frame. This is a 60-meter track guy, Keith. So that short to intermediate, he's going to get the tops. Talking about 0 to 60 quickly, he understands how to do that, right? But he's a runway type of runner. For those who don't know what that means, is he's a guy that just similar, I'm going to put it in racing terms. He's a drag racer, right? You give him a drag strip, that straightaway, oh yeah, that's 0 to 60, that's 60 to 100, he's going to dust you, right? But he's not someone that you take that drag car, you put him in an Indy 500, right? And you tell him to run curves and navigate, between condensed fronts and everything else. That's not really his game. He's a guy that fits zone, the outside zone, press the edges and cut it up. He's a one-cut runner, and you allow him to get upfield and get vertically very quickly. The thing about it, Keith, is for him catching the ball, I think he's going to run well, but catching the ball for him is going to be pivotal at the combine because he's got to show that he's not. I'm gonna show everybody who's going to be watching on YouTube. He's not a clapper, right? He's not trying to clap the ball, but he's trying to actually catch the ball. And if he can catch the ball, Keith, for his speed, I think he could be a weapon out of the backfield as a RB2 for an NFL offense.
Okay, I like that. And when you talk about outside zone real quick, because we have to wrap up, right? That's still teams like the 49ers, the
Yes.
Dolphins, right? Will
The
possibly
Niners have drafted a running back in every draft for the past 7 years. I'm pretty sure he's on their radar right
Yeah,
now.
so I mean, possibly what the Vikings do, right?
Yes.
And maybe the Rams. So, you're still talking about a guy that has multiple landing spots. So, people should definitely be paying attention to him. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of point that out, just a bunch of different teams where this guy can possibly land.
Not 100%, Keith. Like I said, at the end of the day, there's a path for success for a lot of different guys, and with the schemes and stuff that they're in the league right now, zone is really heavy into the NFL atmosphere from the running game. But man, it's crazy how time flies, Keith.
Man,
We had a
time
great
flies,
discussion. When you having fun, man, when you having fun, time flies, baby. So we had a great discussion talking running backs and previewing the NFL scouting combine for this position, man. Guys, as always, we thank y'all so much for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today. As always, we always tell you, go to your favorite, podcasting apps, find it, subscribe to the show, like, share, leave a 5-star review. Let us know what you think of us. It's only been a week and 2 days, week and 3 days or whatever, but we're going to pick up steam, guys. Reps. Remember that. And of course, on YouTube, smash the subscribe button, the like button, and the bell. Ding it, man, so you can get the notifications whenever we are dropping that fire content. And tomorrow, Keith, I want to give a quick tease. We're going to be talking wide receivers and tight ends, man. We can get into these pass catchers, baby. Them playmakers that make a lot of money, guys. So as always, for Keith Sanchez, you can find him on Twitter at @TheTalentCode. And for me, Damian Parson, you can find me at DP_NFL. Come join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.